to my worldview of the perfect monetary system? That's a good question. I think you got to start by recognizing there is no perfect system and there never will be. Why? Again, we're humans. We're imperfect creatures in an imperfect world. So to think that we could create a perfect system, I think I think you're just kidding yourself, really. So, understanding that we cannot create a perfect system, we've got to say, okay, what's the best of the worst? And or what's the least bad system we can create? And I don't, boy, I don't know it would involve a reserve currency. I don't know that that's necessary. You know, people always say, oh, the dollar has to be the reserve currency because what's going to replace it? I don't know. Do we need a reserve currency? Like, why? It doesn't seem to me like we really need one. I mean, back in Bretton Woods, you can say, oh, yeah, we have to have one because it's got to be backed by gold and yada, yada, yada. But now that we live in this fiat monetary system, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know why we need one. So it would make sense to me that Saudi Arabia would sell its oil for whatever the country had that wants to buy it, be it rubles, yuan, dollars, yen. But then what they would probably want to do is that would be more transactional. And then they would take those yen, rubles, yuan, dollars, and then they would want to buy something that was a reserve asset. Gold makes sense. So it's not that they're really, it's not that the currency is backed by gold. It's just that's the reserve asset these sovereigns and central banks are choosing to use. So, I mean, just think about that. Let's just say that you own an oil company in Saudi Arabia, and you've got 3 clients. You've got one in Japan, you've got one in the United States, and you've got one in China. And so you're going to sell your barrel of oil. Okay, what's the going rate in dollars? Okay, you owe me $100 or whatever. And okay, you're selling another barrel of oil to Japan. Okay, what's the going rate based on the yen? Okay, that's 200 yen or whatever. And then in yuan, that's 500 yuan. Okay, great. And so they're going to get you that money. Hopefully we have a better system to where we can get it quickly with correspondent banking and whatnot, or maybe the XRP system. I forgot what it's not XRP, but they're it's been a couple months since I studied it, but not XRP itself, but the XRP platform. Let's just call it that. I forgot what it's called, but maybe it's something like that to where they can settle a lot faster, settle in real time. And then what do you do? So what would you do if you're that oil company and you just received $100, you received 200 yen, and you received 500 yuan for your 3 barrels of oil you just sold? Well, you just take that and just buy gold. And then you just hold the gold and store that. I don't know why we can't, I don't know why that wouldn't be as, like, see, it makes sense to me. And I mean, usually when currencies lose their reserve status, it's a slow, gradual process where it's just used to settle transactions less and less and less. Now, you could say, from a lending standpoint, that would get interesting, because if you're if you're borrowing, what would you want to borrow? See, again, I think you could just borrow in your local currency, even if you had global customers. I'd have to think it through. But I don't know why that wouldn't work. And then you say, well, what about Bitcoin? Yeah, Bitcoin could do that, but it's right now it's too volatile. it's just so darn volatile. I don't think it would be a realistic solution right now. Now, it could be in 5 or 10 years, but right now, gold makes a lot of sense to me. And that just solves a lot of problems. I really thought it through when I did that whiteboard video on what Luke was saying, Luke Groman. And this was maybe like a couple weeks ago. And it's just, if you're a country that is selling oil, you're afraid that the dollars that you're getting, they're not going to have the same purchasing power in 2, 5, 10 years, or dollars or treasuries, just long dated dollars. And so, gold kind of solves that to when the country can do whatever they want with their currency, and you don't care because you're not holding the currency, and that currency is just going to be devalued against your reserve asset, which is gold. And then if you're a country that is like China, where you're exporting a lot of stuff and you're energy short, you don't have a lot of domestic energy. Therefore, you don't have to worry about your treasuries losing value to the oil that you're going to need to buy in the future. So it makes a lot of sense to me that that they would start to do that. It's just, why haven't they already? Because we had this system set up, the petrodollar, set up in 73 or 74 with Saudi Arabia, and we can see that gradually starting to fall apart. And that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. The mainstream media says, "Oh, Putin's getting his butt kicked." I don't know. depends on what he's trying to do. If he's trying to kickstart the destruction of the petrodollar, maybe he's achieving that. I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. But let me be clear: I'm not saying that the dollar is going to lose its reserve status tomorrow, or in 3 years or 5 years. It's going to take a long time. And because what's the flip side of that coin? It's the banksters, because the banksters have been making money on the euro-dollar system since the 1950s. So you could have all the oil producers and countries and central banks wanting to do business in gold, and you've got to convince the banksters. That's going to be a tough sell. So who's got more power at the end of the day? The sovereigns, the central banks, or the banksters? I don't know.